start, I would like to mention that today's event is being covered by PTN24, I'm sorry, and ARY News. So please don't forget to watch it on your TV screens tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to request to please rise from your seats for the National Anthem of Canada. All of you to please remain standing for the National Anthem of Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Raheel Malik. I'm a software engineer by profession. I did my bachelor's in software engineering from Pakistan, and I did my master's in the same field from Concordia University in 2013. I've been currently working as a technical lead in Genetech, and I'll be the host for today. On behalf of the organizers, today's coordinator, Mr. Mahmood Al-Haq, and myself, I would like to extend my warm welcome to all of the panelists, the guests in general for coming today and making this event a success. I would like to start with a brief introduction of our panelists before I invite them to please join us on the stage. Our panel includes today Mr. Amir Khan, the Consul General of Pakistan in Montreal. If I may request Mr. Amir Khan to please take the seat on the stage. Our second guest today is Mr. Moon Kirmani, an educationist by profession and currently teaching operations management at JMSB Concordia. If you can please join us, sir, on the stage. Our third panelist of the day is Dr. Joseph Wilson. He's the former chairman and founding member of the Competition Commission of Pakistan. If you can take your seat on the stage, sir. I'd also like to request our coordinator of the day, Mr. Mahmood Al-Haq, the President, CSC Canada, Executive Editor, Family Mag Canada, and General Secretary of the Karwane Adab Montreal, and also a member of Board of Governors of PAQ, to please take your seat on the stage. To formally start the proceedings of the day, I would like to request Mr. Mahmood Al-Haq to please come on the stage and share his views with us.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम ख़वातीन हज़रात, खुश आमदीद। आपकी तशरीफ़ आवरी का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। मैं आज के प्रोग्राम का आगाज़ इस दुआ के साथ करना चाहता हूँ कि खुदा करे कि मेरी अर्ज़ पाक पर उतरे वो फसले गुल के जिसे अंदेशा ज़वाल न हो। खुदा करे कि मेरी अर्ज़ पाक पर उतरे वो फसले गुल के जिसे अंदेशा ज़वाल न हो। यहाँ जो फूल खिले खिला रहे सदियों, यहाँ ख़ज़ां को भी गुज़रने की मजाल न हो। यहाँ जो फूल खिले खिला रहे सदियों, यहाँ ख़ज़ां को गुज़रने की भी मजाल न हो। यहाँ जो सब्ज़ा उगे हमेशा सब्ज़ रहे और ऐसा सब्ज़ कि जिसकी कोई मिसाल न हो, और ऐसा सब्ज़ कि जिसकी कोई मिसाल न हो। खुदा करे न ख़म हो सरे वक़ार वतन, खुदा करे न ख़म हो सरे वक़ार वतन, और इसके हुस्न को तशवीश माहो साल न हो, और इसके हुस्न को तशवीश माहो साल न हो। हर एक फ़र्द हो तहज़ीब व फ़न का ओजे कमाल, हर एक फ़र्द हो तहज़ीब व फ़न का ओजे कमाल, कोई मलूल न हो कोई खस्ता हाल न हो। और खुदा करे मेरे एक भी हम वतन के लिए हयात जुर्म न हो, ज़िंदगी वबाल न हो। शुक्रिया।
Thank you, Mahmood Saab, for your kind words. Before I invite our first guest on the stage to come and deliver the talk on our topic of the day, Pakistan, the rising nation, I would like to highlight some of Pakistan's numerous achievements over the past 70 years. We all know that 2017 marks the completion of 70 years of Pakistan's independence. We have come along a long way, braving many odds as a nation. We have gathered here today to refresh our memories of the events surrounding the 1947 and what stands for us in the future. Pakistan is a very reasonable, responsible nation and has been playing a key role in the world peace since its independence. If we look into the past, we see Pakistan playing a key role in initiating a dialogue between the United States and the People's Republic of China. These contacts resulted in 1972 Nixon visit to China on a chartered plane provided by Pakistan, and the subsequent normalization of relations between the United States and the People's Republic of China. On February 22nd, 1974, Lahore hosted all the leaders of the Islamic world in the largest gathering of the summit of OIC. That shows the importance of Pakistan in the Islamic countries. The Pakistani military has played a key role in the United Nations peacekeeping programs in different parts of the world, most prominently in Somalia, Sierra Leone, Bosnia, Congo, and Liberia. And as of 2009, Pakistan is the largest contributor of troops to United Nations peacekeeping missions in the world. Dr. Abdul Salam, awarded jointly to Sheldon Lee Glasgow, Abdul Salam, and Steve Weinberg, they were jointly awarded the Nobel Prize for their contributions to the theory of the unified weak and electromagnetics. And very recently, a 17-year-old Shahir Niazi from Lahore stunned scientists all over the world with his perfect demonstration of electronic honeycomb formation phenomena, which earned him and Pakistan, which can earn him and Pakistan another Nobel Prize. I have so many examples to highlight Pakistan's role, but Pakistan's role not only in the region, but in the world. But due to the time constraints, I must cut it short, and I would like to invite our panelists one by one to delight us with their talk on our topic of the day, which is Pakistan, the rising nation. The speeches will be followed by a question and answer sessions in the end, so if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask, you can ask at the end of the speech. I would like to invite our first panelist of the day, Dr. Moon Kirmani. Mr. Kirmani has a rich and diverse educational experience, having received education in India, Pakistan, UK, France, Canada, and USA. He started his career in Canada as a process engineer at British Petroleum and later switched to Alcan Aluminium as industrial engineer and operations research analyst. He retired from Alcan in 2000 as senior financial analyst and manager of corporate authorization systems for non-routine expenditures. Since then, he has been teaching mainly operations management in John Molson School of Business, Concordia University. At the same time, he has been active in community activities and the charitable sector. Currently, he's founding president of 2 Islamic finance state institutions, secretary of MCQ Mosque and Community Center, treasurer of ISNA Canada, and president of Montreal chapter of TCF Canada. In 2004, he was also a visiting professor at the International University, Islamabad. Sir, if I may request you to please come on the stage and cherish us with your views on the topic of the day.
Dear brothers and sisters, distinguished guests, fellow panelists, Mr. Mahmood Haq, the coordinator, and all the wonderful people who helped in putting this event together. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be on you. Welcome to the seminar on the theme of Pakistan, Rising Nation. I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity to address you on this theme, and the topic of my specific presentation today is Pakistan, the dream, the reality, and some ideas to bridge the gap. I want to start by saying that what I present is my own humble opinion on this topic based on my experience, reading and understanding. I have no monopoly on this subject, and I welcome all sorts of other opinions that I promise to always respectfully consider. I ask you for the same favor. Thank you very kindly. Let us start with the evolution of the dream of Pakistan, and then we will talk about its final form at the time of partition, some 70 years ago. After the crushing events of the war in 1857, Muslims in India started losing hope of a revival of the Mughal Empire and became very concerned about the future of the community, which was a minority in an India controlled by the British, who were seen as foreign invaders. In 1875, Sir Syed started the MAO College at Aligarh. Subsequently, in 1877, Syed Amir Ali founded the National Muslim Association towards political advancement of Muslims in Bengal. In 1885, the Indian National Congress was founded to work towards Indian independence. Some Muslims were very active in Congress, but the Congress did not succeed in winning the trust of the majority of Muslims, who in turn formed the Muslim League in Dhaka on the 30th December 1906. At this point, Mr. Jinnah and many other Muslim leaders did not join the Muslim League and continued to work in Congress, as they considered the main struggle was for Indian independence. After that, they wanted to obtain safeguards for minority rights in a united India. Mr. Jinnah joined the Muslim League in 1913 and became its president in 1916, but he continued to be a member of the Congress and put together the Lucknow Pact between the two parties in 1920, in which the Congress agreed to have separate electorates for Muslims and for others. Iqbal's poem Sare Jahan Se Acha Hindustan Hamara, written in 1904, was very popular at this time. Unfortunately, it increasingly became apparent that Congress was not comfortable with the idea of special safeguards for minority rights. They renounced the agreement for separate electorates in 1928. The problem was that while Muslims shared minority status with other Indian minorities, because of the sheer numbers, Muslims were no ordinary minority. There were about 100 million in a total population of about 400 million. And they were all over, from Calcutta to Peshawar and from Kerala to Kashmir. They had ruled most of India for about 800 years, had a strong way of life based on their religion, culture, and history. They were majority in big chunks of the country and rulers of large princely states. For the Indian Muslims, the question of minority safeguards was absolutely essential. The dream at this point, up to about 1930, was for a united India with strong minority rights and not a separate state. Muslims were demanding separate electorates, a minimum of 30% representation in national parliament, and some autonomy for Muslim majority areas. The dream was not anti-India, where Muslims had lived more than 1,000 years, mainly peacefully in harmony with other Indians and had a shared history. When Muslim League leadership failed to obtain adequate guarantees of minority rights, they started asking for the creation of a separate Muslim majority country in Muslim majority areas. The idea was first proposed by Iqbal in the 1930 session of the Muslim League at Allahabad. The idea of Pakistan was born, but the name Pakistan only came in 1933. However, many highly respected Muslims, such as Maulana Azad, believed the division of India would be disruptive and emphasis should be on individual human rights rather than minority rights. They believed that Muslim community would be better off within a united India. The Muslim religious parties were nearly all opposed to the idea of a separate Muslim state. Therefore, the idea of Pakistan was not a religious idea. It was based on secular democratic rights. Things moved very fast between 1935 and 1946. In 1935, the British agreed to give greater autonomy to provinces and hold an election. Muslim vote was split between Congress, regional parties, and Muslim League. This permitted Congress to form majority governments in most provinces, either by themselves or in coalition, even in Muslim majority provinces, and completely ignore the Muslim League. This alarmed the Muslims about how the future may unfold. A number of events led to a great mobilization of Muslim League, ending with the Lahore Resolution of 11th March 1940, where a clear demand for a separate Muslim state was made. The next elections took place in 1946, when Muslim League won 89.2% of Muslim vote and 425 of the 496 seats that were reserved for Muslims. At this point, the British and the Congress had no option but to negotiate with Mr. Jinnah and the Muslim League to find a solution to the independence problem. The dream, just before the time of partition, the majority of educated Indian Muslims dreamt of a peaceful, democratic Muslim majority nation where the highest moral and religious values will dominate. There will be justice for all. There will be a minimum of conflict as common moral and religious values will overrule sectarian and provincial differences. Charity will be practiced and there will be an egalitarian society. There will be economic opportunity and prosperity. There will be little corruption and crime. Minority rights will be protected. There will be friendly relations with all neighbors, and conflicts will be resolved peacefully by a new, confident, and united nation. There will not be a security state, not a religious state, not a sectarian state, not a state divided on the basis of sectarianism, provincialism.
Very good.
It will be an egalitarian nation, no great economic differences, mostly middle class, no extreme poverty, no oppressive, extremely rich classes, very little corruption or crime. So that's what we expected for Pakistan. And during the period between 1935 and 46, a lot of positive messages were given by Mr. Jinnah and the Muslim League leadership. I didn't talk about them here, but we can talk about them later during discussion. Let us look at the current reality. If you look at the last paragraph I read, we have currently almost just the opposite. How did we get here will require a separate long discussion of our history of 70 years. However, in spite of this, there are reasons for hope and for optimism. There is never only bad or only good. Let us look at what is good today, and then the bad and ugly, and how we can bridge the gap between the dream and the unpleasant reality. So what is good today? You will be surprised. Pakistanis in many fields have shown an inherent talent and are young and educated are a great resource. Education, health, longevity, economic prosperity have all greatly improved since partition, but perhaps not so much relative to other nations. A recent article in a Saudi paper points to a number of achievements we seldom think about. I'm going to give you a list, and I modified that list a little bit by adding some things and taking out some things, but here it is. In the last 5 years, Pakistan's literacy rate has grown by 250%, the largest increase in any country to date. According to a poll organized by the Institute of European Business Administration from 125 countries, Pakistan was judged and ranked the 4th most intelligent people across the globe. The Cambridge exams of both A and O levels have been topped by Pakistani students, and this is the record yet to be broken. The world's youngest certified Microsoft experts, Arifa Karim and Babar Iqbal, are from Pakistan. The 7th largest pool of scientists and engineers comes from Pakistan. The 4th largest broadband internet system of the world is in Pakistan. Pakistan has also constructed the world's largest warm water deep sea port situated on the Arabian Sea at Gwadar in Balochistan. Tabela Dam is the world's largest earth-filled dam. The Karakoram Highway connecting China and Pakistan is the highest paved international road in the world. The world's largest irrigation network is present in Pakistan. It serves 14.4 million hectares of cultivated land, and the irrigation system is fed by water from the Indus River. Pakistan is one of the biggest exporters of surgical instruments in the world. About 50% of the world's footballs are made in Pakistan. Nestle Pakistan is one of the largest milk processing plants, which generates large revenues every year. Pakistan is the first and only Islamic country to attain nuclear power. It is also notable for having some of the best trained Air Force pilots in the world. The country's missile technology is one of the best. In cooperation with China, Pakistan has produced the PAC-JF-17 Thunder aircraft developed by the Pakistan Aeronautical Complex. The Pakistan ordnance factories in War export more than Indian ordnance factories. And you know who said that? Recently, the Chief of the Indian Army. Pakistan also boasts of the 6th largest military force in the world. Pakistan is a multilingual country with more than 60 languages spoken. It is the 6th most populated country in the world and the 2nd most populous Muslim majority country after Indonesia. It also has the 2nd largest Shia population in the world after Iran. The EIDHI Foundation, a non-profit social welfare program in Pakistan, founded by Abdul Sattar EIDHI in 1951, runs the world's largest ambulance network. Now let us look at what is bad and ugly and always talked about in the foreign press. The biggest problem Pakistan faces is that of terrorism. Not only political terrorism, but also random criminality. When your life and property is not secure, nothing looks good. We know that we have inherited much of it from the Afghan war in the 80s, but it has gone on for too long. The second big problem is rampant corruption up to the highest levels of society. So much so that even the Prime Minister is removed from his position by the courts for owning property overseas beyond his known sources of income. The third big problem is religious extremism, translating into hate and intolerance, both for each other and the outside world. How can we get rid of these problems? We have a lot of good, moral, talented, and educated people who feel so helpless and insecure. We need to organize this section of civil society so that it begins to have an effective voice to change the national paradigm. This looks so hard, but it can be done, and it is not impossible. We need to rise to this challenge by not working individually, but by uniting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for reminding us how proud we should feel of our country's achievements for the past 70 years. I would like to remind again that today's event is being telecast by PTN24. So please don't forget to watch it on PTN24 and AirY News. Moving forward, I'd like to request our second guest of the day, Dr. Joseph Wilson, who's the former chairman and founding member of the Competition Commission of Pakistan, where he served from November 2007 till November 2016, including as its chairman from August 2013 till December 2014. Dr. Wilson's experience spans over 24 years of public service, law practice, teaching, and research in regulatory laws. Before joining the commission, he was an associate professor of law at the Lahore University of Management Sciences, Pakistan. Dr. Wilson taught at McGill University, Faculty of Law, Montreal, Canada, where he earned Doctor of Civil Law with Dean's Honor List and Masters of Law degrees. He has an LLM from the University of Georgia, USA. He is a member of the State Bar of New York, USA, and Lahore High Court. He serves on the International Advisory Board of the Loyola University Chicago's Institute of Consumer Studies. He has authored several law journal articles, book chapters, and a book titled Globalization and the Limits of National Merger Control Laws. Please welcome Dr. Wilson to deliver his speech for the day.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to come here. Also thank the fellows panelists, His Excellency Mr. Moon Kirmani. The topic of my presentation today is rather narrow. I will talk about the institute which I served as a founding member for 9 years, and the role the Competition Commission played in economic reform and economic development, and therefore in helping consumers and consumer protection. So we'll start with the brief history of competition laws in Pakistan, which is part of the economic reform package starting way back in 1960s after the independence of Pakistan. The concentration of wealth accumulated in the hands of 24 families at that time. And in 1969, the government felt that this is too concentrated, and then they issued the Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Ordinance of 1969 with the main objective of preventing economic concentration in the hands of few. That was the main purpose, among others, to prevent cartelization, abuse of dominance, and so on. However, in 1972, under the Bhutto regime, Economic Reform Ordinance of 1972 came, which nationalized all the major industries and major businesses in Pakistan. That nationalization put a stopper or hampered the economic progress, and the businesses stopped working as a free market economy. In 1990s, with the new trend coming in, the businesses were given back to their owners, and in 2000 a new law was introduced because the Monopoly Control Authority, which was formed in 1970, was not able to deliver its mandate for what it was meant to protect the consumers. So in 2007 the law was modernized based on experiences from Western countries, including the European Union, Canada, and US, and the law was formalized to protect consumers from from anti-competitive practices. The Competition Act Ordinance was established in was promulgated in November 2007, and the Competition Commission was formed pursuant to that. 5 members were appointed, and the role of the Competition Commission was, there were 5 main pillars, 5 substantive provisions. One was to prevent cartelization. I'll talk about a little bit on cartelization and giving by examples how it helps consumers. Not the cartelization helps consumer, but by preventing cartelization. Then the abuse of dominance by market players. It again is a problem that affects other competitors and consumers alike. And the third is review of merger control. Whenever there is mergers or acquisitions in an economy, there is lessening of competition, and that lessening will then affect on the prices and so on. So the Competition Commission reviews certain mergers and acquisitions to ensure that there's no lessening of competition. And finally, the fourth main provision is the consumer protection issue of deceptive marketing, protecting the consumers from deceptive marketing. The Commission, after its establishment in 2007, took the first case it did was against the banking cartel. In November 2007, an ad appeared in all the major newspapers in Pakistan that the Banking Association of Pakistan has agreed to set the rate of interest for the consumers. And this was all. What it means is that the banks would not compete against each other on getting consumers. They would, when the prices are fixed or the interest rate is fixed, there's no incentive to compete. The Commission took notice and conducted an inquiry, and it came to the knowledge that there is an agreement to fix the interest rate, and then the Commission penalized them. After the banking cartel, another cartel that the Commission went after was cement cartel. The prices of cement bag immediately reduced from 270 to 300 at that time. It was I'm talking about 2008. There was no, the cement companies were not advertising their products. They were not competing against each other. The Commission took an action. Commission conducted a dawn raid on the offices of the cement manufacturers and found agreements whereby they agreed to fix the prices, which by all means hurt the consumers and the industry, because most of the construction business is dependent on the cement. Local individuals who are building their houses, they were dependent on that product. And Commission took action, and the matter went to the court. And then so on, there are a number of cases which the Commission has taken, including deceptive marketing, which directly hurt consumers. There was a case of medical colleges which were advertising as if they are registered and they have all the means to offer medical education, but in fact they were neither registered nor they had the means, but they were charging and enticing the students to come and register. The Commission took action, found that they are not registered, they have no means, and they were hurting the individual students by deceptive marketing. There are other instances of deceptive marketing whereby for example, there was a case against milk producers who were producing or advertising as if it's a pure milk, but in fact it was not a milk at all, it was a whitener. So there are a number of cases dealing with advertising, dealing with cartelization. Cartelization is a major problem because when the prices are fixed, the innovation, the incentive to compete that's where you get better services, that's where you get lower prices, that's where the innovation takes place. These are all stifled when there is an agreement among corporations not to compete, and that's the major real reason for the competition is that these companies should compete on equal footing with fair rules, and that's what the rules were provided by through the Competition Act of 2010, and the Commission was the institution authorized to enforce those rules. So there's one other case I would like to mention about cartelization is there was a cartel among two private airlines, and they were the only ones who had the authority, have the rights to fly the Hajis from Pakistan to Saudi Arabia. And this is the year 2008. I'm talking. The price at that time from northern region was 48,000 two-way, and from south it was 38,000. The next year the prices were almost doubled. From 40,000 it became 80,000. There was a lot of hue and cry in the newspaper that what is the reason behind this 100% increase in the price. The complaint came to the Commission. The Commission took notice, and when it inquired, looked into the matter, it came to the knowledge that there is in fact an agreement, one between the airline and the Saudi Arabian airline not to compete and to quota share. The other problem that the Commission found was that there was a problem with the bilateral air service agreement. That is, that only single airline can fly from Pakistan to Saudi Arabia and Saudi Arabia to Pakistan. So another main mandate of the Commission was to advise the government on any laws which restrict competition or harm consumers. So the Commission issued a policy note, which is in fact a non-binding recommendations to the government, that this bilateral air services agreement needs to be amended so that there could be more airlines which can fly and they can compete among each other. For some reason, the government did agree to it. There were two more airlines were started flying from Pakistan, and another NAS airline started coming from Saudi Arabia to Pakistan. And the prices, as of 2014, this is the last time I had looked into it, at that time the prices were around 80,000, which is after 6 years when the Commission took note. And there was a saving of millions of rupees to the consumers in terms of that action taken by the Commission. So this is an institution which has worked independently. Is one of the star agency within South Asian agencies among the South Asian countries, and this is again an example of economic reform and economic development to the present government and the previous governments have taken to improve the welfare of the consumers. With the functioning of the Commission, there, as some of you know, there's a World Economic Competitiveness Index, and Pakistan this year ranked at 115 compared to 122 last year and 127 the year before that. So there's a constant increase in the competitiveness index of the competitiveness of Pakistan by some of the reforms which the government has taken and implemented by its institutions. So I thank you for this example, and I'll be happy to take it.
बहुत शुक्रिया डॉक्टर जोसेफ विल्सन। अब मैं प्रोग्राम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए दावत दूंगा मोहम्मद आमिर साहब को। Just a brief introduction. Mr. Mohammed Amir joined as Consul General in the Consulate General of Pakistan, Montreal in July 2016. He also holds the position of Alternate Representative of Pakistan in International Civil Aviation Organization, Montreal, Canada. Mr. Mohammed Amir holds a bachelor degree in civil engineering from University of Engineering and Technology, Lahore, bachelor's in arts degree, postgraduate diploma in international affairs, Lahore, and master's in public finance from Tokyo, Japan. Mr. Amir joined Customs, Sales Tax, and Excise Group under the Ministry of Finance in the Government of Pakistan. He has served at various tax field formations all over Pakistan. He has also served as commercial counselor in the Consulate General of Pakistan in New York, United States, for more than 5 years. Before joining the current position, Mr. Amir headed the Model Customs Collectorate in Gilgit-Baltistan, dealing with Pakistan-China trade, then Model Customs Collectorate Peshawar, dealing with Pakistan-Afghanistan trade, and lastly, as Director, Customs, Intelligence and Investigation in Islamabad. I request Mr. Muhammad Amir to please share his views with us.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much for the introduction. And I would like to thank and welcome all the guests to come on this rainy day. So we were not expecting such a break turnout. So when we initially planned with Mahmood Saab, so we were expecting there will be 60, 70 people. But the kind of response we got from the public, from the Pakistani community was so encouraging, and to see that more people turned out to this event. So that's a good thing. And we really thank all of you for that. So first, Mr. Moon Kirmani Saab has very rightly pointed out that what Pakistan, what the phases through which Pakistan went through in the initial days and all the history. And then Dr. Joseph Wilson very pointedly pointed out that what the Competition Commission of Pakistan is and how it is protecting the consumer rights. And it is a very important organization, and due to which the investment in Pakistan is increasing. So with these topics, so I will briefly touch upon the economic and trade side, that what were the economic conditions at the time of the independence of Pakistan, and how Pakistan, what were the economic policies that Pakistan pursued in the later years, in the decade-wise, and what are the present indicators and where we are going. So, because of the time limitations, I will very briefly touch upon try to cover as much topic as possible, but because of the paucity of time, so I would not be able to do the justice, but I will try my level best. So at the time of creation of Pakistan, Pakistan inherited two truncated states, one on the eastern border, one on the western border. And Pakistan economic conditions, we can say it was totally in shambles. There were 921 industrial units all over India, and out of which Pakistan inherited just 34. And out of 34, 16 were cotton and cotton-based products, manufacturing industries. Few were cement plants, 4 cement plants, and the rest were agro plants. There were no jute processing factory in Pakistan. They were all located in India. So with these conditions, Pakistan's GDP at that time, GDP is gross domestic product, it was just $2 billion. And many economic pundits and different people and politicians, they were saying that Pakistan is not going to survive. And millions and millions, and not the million, yes, there are different varying figures that how many migrants were pouring into Pakistan, but the safe figures are between 5 to 7 million people who migrated from India to Pakistan. So it was a huge task. There were no buildings and offices for the government people, functionaries to start with. But Alhamdulillah, with the grace of Allah, we started very well. And today we are here with a strong 208 million people and going forward, which I will just explain. And also there was, shortly after the creation of Pakistan, there was a war at the frontiers on the issue of Kashmir, and so, but still Pakistan managed everything. In the 1950s, Pakistan started an industrial policy. At the time of partition, Pakistan was a totally agricultural country, and around more than 50% of the GDP of Pakistan was agriculture based. I will just explain, most of the people might be knowing about that, but to some who are not aware about that there are 3 components of an economy. The first, the agricultural, industry, and services sector. So the agricultural sector was the biggest sector at the time of partition, and around 56% of the economy of Pakistan was industry based. So, but Pakistan leaders, they were visionary, and they saw that if Pakistan has to survive, it has to become industrial. So PIDC was established in 1952, and after that Pakistan's GDP started growing. And also there was a war, a Korean war, which also helped. Wars are bad, but still that war helped Pakistan export a lot. And that helped Pakistan GDP to grow further. In 1960s, there was tremendous growth in the industrialization and the economic growth of Pakistan, and our GDP was more than it was 6.8% in the whole decade. In 1970s, there were, as Dr. Joseph maybe pointed out, that there was a policy of nationalization, in which hampered the growth of Pakistan industry, but still our GDP growth of expansion in other sectors, our GDP was still able to touch around 4%. In the 1980s, our GDP again went very well, and it was that era in which Pakistan started looking outwards, because before that we had been protecting our industry. We had raised our tariffs were very high, because we were not allowing the goods to come into Pakistan. Whatever was being produced, it was mainly for the domestic industry. So there was competition, there was low competition from the outside world, and whatever we were producing, and so we were produced and cannot export to the world, but the world was changing. So this was in the 80s when we tried to connect ourselves with the outer the world, and then we tried to lower our tariffs appreciably so that the goods, they can enter Pakistan and compete with our goods. It's not like a kind of an open competition. So when our industry started feeling the heat of the imported goods, there is a terminology used, BMR, balancing, modernization, and renovation. So they started restructuring their industries so that they can compete with the outer world also. In the 1990s, there was a spur of economic activity in Pakistan, and especially two sectors, the telecommunication and the banking sector. They were the most, at that time in the world, there was a dot-com phenomena, craze going on over the world, which bursted in the early 2000s. At that time, Pakistan was also connecting to the rest of the world. So in that area, in 1995, Pakistan also joined WTO, and we were also a member of WCO, which is World Customs Organization. Our tariffs were slashed. And then in early 2000, we started signing a lot of trade agreements with the rest of the world. And we signed with China, Malaysia, Mauritius, Iran, and we also signed CEFTA. There was SARC before, but we signed CEFTA in the early 2000s so that we can have more trade in the region. But unfortunately, that dream did not realize very well because of our tension with the neighboring country. And then the last decade in which we are, so the struggle goes on. Now I have given a very brief overview of the last 60-70 years. Now today, where we stand. Today, Pakistan is the 25th largest economy of the world. From the purchase, it is PPP, it is purchase power parity, and our GDP is increasing. And this year, in 2016-17, our financial year is from July to June. So in this last year, our GDP growth was more than 5%, whereas the world average of GDP growth was 3.6%. So, and also the cost of doing business, as Dr. Joseph also just mentioned, our cost of doing business, our positions have gone up by 5 positions in last 4 years. So, and also the credit rating agencies, there are a couple of credit rating agencies. There is Moody's, there is S&P, the Standard & Poor's, and all of them have given a positive outlook. That previously Pakistan was the credit rating, there are A plus, B plus, B minus. There are different categories, but Pakistan outlook is positive, and it is in B. It was previously in C. Now we have improved it to B. Now there are some issues about the power outages. We had seen the worst of the power outages, and the demand, the gap between the demand and the production was almost 5,000 to 7,000 megawatt. but now it is decreasing. Now our industry is getting energy, and our exports, who were challenged for the last couple of years because of this gas and power outages, now our exports are also increasing, and in the first quarter of 2017-18, our exports have increased by 10%, whereas our markets, which are mainly in the Western Hemisphere, we have less demand from these, but still our exports are growing. We are doing very well in e-commerce, and you will be surprised to know that from just $30 million, in 6 years, our e-commerce has grown to $600 million, from 30 million to 600. So we have a forex of around, forex is like foreign exchange reserves. They are around $20 billion, and they are always in the same range. Some people, like some criticize that the Pakistan is on the verge of bankruptcy, but that's just it's a hoax call. I would say that Pakistan has a pretty much stable base, and our investments are growing. We have very, very large investments coming from China in the shape of CPEC project, and in the next 7-8 years, we will get an investment of, they have a total outlay of more than 65 billion Canadian dollars. So with that coming in, our GDP is growing, and we are expecting that we will touch the GDP growth rate of more than 7% in the coming years. So with this, I would say that where we are heading. So what is our future directions? The economic indicators, they keep on moving. Some indicators, they go up, they go down, but in general, we are moving. Pakistan has announced a Vision 2025 policy, and we are following that, and inshallah, if that is implemented, Pakistan's future will be very safe, and we are going in the right directions. Some indicators going down doesn't mean that Pakistan is going down. Our GDP is just one number which gives you a very good indicator of what how the economy is moving. There are other factors also. There are political factors. They are just, and Mr. Moin very rightly pointed out that there are issues of terrorism, corruption, religious extremism. Yes, we agree. There were a lot of terrorism in Pakistan, but if we just compare, like I just compared the last 70 years, how we have been moving. Terrorism, it has gone down so appreciably. It's in our living memory that what was the level of terrorism almost 7-8 years ago. To what level it has come down. The corruption. In corruption, there is, so for your information, I would like to say that there is a corruption index in which it's a Transparency International, which gathers all of information and it says that how corrupt the country is. So that is a very good indicator, and it doesn't go on hearsay. It actually sees that what is that it takes different factors into account, multiple factors into account, and it gives you a number and ranking. In the last 10 years, from 2007 and in 2017, in 2007, Pakistan ranked 138. Today, in 2017, Pakistan ranked 116. So we are a lot less corrupt than what we were 10 years before. So this is our direction. We are getting better. If somebody gets caught, so it's a good sign that if somebody had been doing the corruption, he gets caught. So our things are moving, the governance is improving, our economic indicators are improving, and this is the direction which we are going. Thank you very much to all of you for coming and giving me a patient hearing. Thank you very much.
PTN24 ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਰੋਤਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੀ ਵਿਸ਼ੂ ਮਹਿਤਾ ਮੈਂਬਰ ICCRC ਵੱਲੋਂ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ। ਹੋਵਾਂਗਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਰੂਬਰੂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਚੈਨਲ PTN24 ਤੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਵਿਦ ਵਿਸ਼ੂ ਮਹਿਤਾ। ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਨਾਲ, ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਲਵਾਂਗੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਤੇ ਜਵਾਬ। ਸੋ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਨਾ ਭੁੱਲਣਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਵਿਦ ਵਿਸ਼ੂ ਮਹਿਤਾ।
बहुत शुक्रिया आमिर साहब। میں اس موقع پہ کچھ لوگوں کا بہت شکریہ ادا کرنا چاہوں گا جنہوں نے آج بہت تعاون کیا ہمارے ساتھ اس ایونٹ کو آرگنائز کرنے میں. جناب شبیر احمد صاحب, زاہد الوی صاحب, ممتاز شاہ صاحب اور اعجاز خان صاحب. Moving forward, we are moving closer to the end of the event. We have prepared 2 videos for the audience to highlight the beloved country of Pakistan. So if we can just play them on our audio video.
If you sail due south from Karachi, you would not see any land till you reach the South Pole. Travel northwards, and you would witness some of the most spectacular scenery, culture, and people that you could ever imagine. This is Pakistan. A land steeped in history, giving birth to the Indus civilization, which flourished 3000 BC, where Emperor Ashoka built a series of monasteries in Jonia and Marachika. This great complex also housed one of the first universities in the world.
میں دعوت دوں گا ارشد میر صاحب کو کہ وہ پلیز وہ اسٹیج پر آئیں اور ہمارے لیے ایک ملی نغمہ پیش کریں. ارشد میر صاحب.
السلام علیکم. بہت شکریہ پاکستان کے بارے پریسٹیجیس ایونٹ میں مجھے بھی پاکستان کے بارے ترنم میں کچھ کہنے کے لیے کہا. شکریہ. تو بول ہے اے میرے پیارے وطن. قبول کیجیے گا. اے وطن پیارے وطن, اے وطن پیارے وطن, پاک وطن پاک وطن, اے میرے پیارے وطن, اے میرے پیارے وطن. تجھ سے ہے میری تمناؤں کی دنیا پر نور, تجھ سے ہے میری تمناؤں کی دنیا پر نور. عزم میرا قوی میرے ارادے ہیں غیور, میری ہستی میں آنا ہے میری مستی میں شعور, جہاں فضا میرا تحیل ہے تو شیریں ہے سہن. اے وطن پیارے وطن, اے وطن پاک وطن پاک وطن پاک وطن, اے وطن میرے وطن. تو دل افروز بہاروں کا ترو تازہ چمن, تو دل افروز بہاروں کا ترو تازہ چمن, تو مہکتے ہوئے پھولوں کا سہانا گلشن, تو نوارز ادا دل کا بہاری مسکن, رنگ و آہنگ سے معمور تیرے کو دمن. اے وطن پیارے وطن، اے وطن پیارے وطن، پاک وطن پاک وطن، اے میرے پیارے وطن، میرا دل تیری محبت کا ہے جان بخش دے یار، میرا دل تیری محبت کا ہے جان بخش دے یار، میرا سینہ تیری حرمت کا ہے سنگین حصار، میرے محبوب وطن تجھ پہ اگر جاں ہو نثار، میں یہ سمجھوں گا ٹھکانے لگا سرمایہ تن، اے وطن پیارے وطن، اے وطن پاک وطن پاک وطن پاک وطن، اے میرے پیارے وطن. بہت شکریہ.
اب ہم لوگ کوشچن آنسر کے سیشن کی طرف بڑھیں گے. آئی ووڈ لائک ٹو اسٹارٹ ود دا لیڈیز فرسٹ. اف somebody has any question they can raise your hands. پلیز آپ اگر وہاں سے کمفرٹیبل ہیں تو آپ وہیں سے پوچھ سکتے ہیں، ادروائز آپ یہاں پہ بھی آ کے بات کر سکتے ہیں.
جی السلام علیکم. میرا نام عذرا اظہر ہے. میں پاکستان کی ریپرزینٹ ہوں ریڈیو ہم سفر کے تھرو. میں ریڈیو ہم سفر کی ہوسٹ ہوں اور اپنے پاکستان کے لحاظ سے میں اپنے پاکستان کو ریپرزینٹ کرنے کے لیے ساؤتھ ایشین ریڈیو پر چونکہ کام کر رہی ہوں، تو اس لحاظ سے میرا بہت ہی زیادہ انٹرسٹ یہ ہوتا ہے کہ ہم اپنے ریڈیو پر ساؤتھ ایشین، چونکہ کمیونٹی ہمیں سن رہی ہوتی ہے، پنجابی، اردو، ہندی، تمالی، کرسچنس ہر لوگ سن رہے ہیں، تو پاکستان کی بات زیادہ سے زیادہ ہو اور اچھے وے میں جتنا بھی ہم اپنے پاکستان کو پروموٹ کر سکیں کرتے ہیں. میں آج کے اس پروگرام کے بارے میں کہوں گی کہ بہت ہی اچھا پروگرام ہوا. ہمیں بہت زیادہ انفارمیشن ملی، چونکہ پاکستان سے دور رہتے ہوئے ہماری ایک ایک آواز، دھڑکن، ہمارا دل ہر ٹائم پاکستان کے لیے دھڑک رہا ہوتا ہے. تو میں اپنے مہمانوں سے ایک تو بہت تھینکس ادا کروں گی کہ آج کا یہ شو، یہ پروگرام ہمارا بہت اچھا ہوا. ہمیں ہمارے مہمانوں نے بہت ساری انفارمیشن دی. چونکہ ہم پاکستان سے دور ہیں تو بعض اوقات ہم نیوز وغیرہ سنتے ہیں، لیکن بہت زیادہ میں اپنے لحاظ سے تو نہیں کہوں گی کیونکہ میں سارا دن رہتی ہی نیوز میں ہوں، لیکن ہماری بہت ساری کمیونٹی کو ٹائم نہ ملنے کی وجہ سے آج ہم نے ان سے انفارمیشن لی. تو میں تھینکس ادا کرتی ہوں محمود صاحب کا کہ انہوں نے ہمیں یہ موقع دیا. اور میں اپنے مہمانوں سے پوچھنا یہ چاہوں گی سوال کہ جیسا ہم یہاں پہ رہتے ہوئے پاکستان میں انویسٹ کرتے ہیں، بزنس کرنا چاہتے ہیں، تو کیا اسکوپ ہے کہ ہم یہاں سے وہاں پہ پیسہ لگائیں اور اس کا کیا اسکوپ ہوگا، ہمیں اس کا کیا رزلٹ آئے گا؟ آپ کیا سمجھتے ہیں کہ ہم کیا کریں تاکہ ہم زیادہ سے زیادہ اپنے پاکستان کی ہیلپ بھی کر سکیں اور ہمیں بھی تھوڑا سا جی.
میں سوال ریپیٹ کر دیتا ہوں تاکہ وہ تھوڑا کلیئر ہو جائے. میڈم نے یہ پوچھا ہے کہ اگر کوئی انویسٹمنٹ اگر پاکستان میں کوئی کرنا چاہے، پرائیویٹ انویسٹمنٹ ہے، پرائیویٹ انویسٹمنٹ کی آپ بات کر رہی ہیں یا پرائیویٹ انویسٹمنٹ کرنا چاہے تو اس کا کیا طریقہ ہے؟ تو دو قسم کی انویسٹمنٹس ہیں کہ اگر کوئی اپنی انڈسٹری ہے وہ وہاں پر پاکستان میں کوئی اسٹیبلش کرنا چاہتا ہے، جس طرح کوئی یہاں پہ آپ مین اگر آپ کی کمپنی ہے اور آپ ایک برانچ آفس پاکستان میں کھولنا چاہتے ہیں تو اس کے لیے ایک ادارہ ہے بورڈ آف انویسٹمنٹ، اسلام آباد میں اس کا ہیڈ کوارٹرز ہے. تو اگر اس کے لیے پہلے آپ کو جو فارن کمپنی ہے اس کو پاکستان میں SECP میں رجسٹر ہونا پڑے گا، سیکیورٹیز اینڈ ایکسچینج کمیشن آف پاکستان، اس میں رجسٹر ہونا پڑے گا. پھر اس کے بعد ڈیفینیٹلی اس کو چونکہ ٹیکسز وغیرہ پے کرنے ہوتے ہیں تو FBI کے ساتھ رجسٹر، اور اس کے بعد جو ریلیونٹ آرگنائزیشن جو ہے انڈسٹری جس کو ڈیل کر رہی ہوگی اس کے ساتھ رجسٹر ہونا پڑے گا. تو اس طرح سے آپ اس کو انویسٹمنٹ کر سکتے ہیں. دوسری ایک ہوتی ہے پرائیویٹ انویسٹمنٹ ہے. تو پرائیویٹ انویسٹمنٹ کے لیے اس کے لیے چینلز ہیں وہ آپ جس طرح کوئی آپ اپنے لیے کوئی وہاں پہ ریل اسٹیٹ میں انویسٹمنٹ کوئی کرنا چاہتے ہیں تو اس کے لیے دوسرے چینلز ہیں کہ اس میں تھرو بینکنگ چینلز آپ اپنے پیسے کو ٹرانسفر کریں تاکہ آپ کا ایک پراپر ایک وہاں پہ ریکارڈ موجود ہو کہ اس پیسے سے آپ نے وہاں پہ کوئی ریئل اسٹیٹ یا پلاٹ یا کوئی اور چیز کسی کوئی چیز میں بھی انویسٹ کرے. تو اگر انڈسٹری ہے اور برانچ آفس کھولنا ہے تو پھر اس کو پراپرلی رجسٹر کروانا پڑے گا تھرو SECP. اور بورڈ آف انویسٹمنٹ ہے جو کہ ایک مستند ایک انڈیکیٹڈ ادارہ ہے جو کہ آپ کی اور بھی ایشوز کو بھی آپ کو ہیلپ آؤٹ کر سکتا ہے کہ کس سیکٹر میں آپ ہیلپ کریں اور کوئی انفارمیشن ہو تو بورڈ آف انویسٹمنٹ از دا فوکل منسٹری آف آرگنائزیشن.
Okay. Thank you, Amir Saab. Anyone else? The sir in the black corner, please.
ہیلو السلام علیکم. میرا کوئی کوشچن نہیں ہے, میں صرف اس لیے آیا ہوں کہ یہ بتاؤں کہ یہ آج کا پروگرام بہت ہی اچھا ہوا ہے اور تمام آرگنائزر کو میری طرف سے بہت بہت مبارکباد ہو. اور یور ایکسلنسی مسٹر عامر خان, آپ کو ایسے پروگرام اکثر کروانے چاہیے کیونکہ لوگوں کو پاکستان کے بارے میں کچھ بھی علم نہیں ہے, تو ینگ جنریشن جو ہے اس کو کم از کم یہ علم ہونا چاہیے. تو اس لیے میری گزارش ہے کہ اس قسم کے پروگرام اکثر ہم لوگوں کو کروانے چاہیے. تھینک یو.
تھینک یو. ہمارے پاس یہاں پہ کنکوریا سے پاکستان اسٹوڈنٹ ایسوسیشن کے اسٹوڈنٹس آئے ہوئے ہیں. سلمان.
السلام علیکم سب لوگوں کو. میرا نام سلمان سید ہے. میں پاکستانی اسٹوڈنٹ ایسوسیشن کنکوریا یونیورسٹی کو ریپرزینٹ کر رہا ہوں. آئی ایم وائس پریزیڈنٹ انٹرنل اینڈ ڈائریکٹر آف PSA کنکوریا. سب سے پہلے تھینک یو سو مچ کونسلر جنرل پاکستان مسٹر محمد عامر اینڈ سر موین کرمانی سب. تھینک یو سو مچ اینڈ سر یو ٹو فار ارینجنگ سچ ایک ایسی محفل جس میں ہم پاکستان کے بارے میں جان سکیں اور ہم اپنے کویشچنس آپ کے سامنے رکھ سکیں. چونکہ میں ایک اسٹوڈنٹ باڈی کو ریپرزینٹ کر رہا ہوں مونٹریال اور کینیڈا میں اور ایک یونیورسٹی میں, تو میرے سوال کچھ اسٹوڈنٹ ریلیٹڈ ہیں جو میں چاہوں گا دیٹ آپ میں سے جو بھی سمجھتا ہے اس کا صحیح جواب دینا. سر میرا پہلا سوال, ہماری اسٹوڈنٹ کمیونٹی جب ایز اے انٹرنیشنل اسٹوڈنٹ پاکستان سے یہاں آتی ہے تو we are lucky that in Montreal we have consulate office and so what are the support, کون سی ایسی سپورٹس ہیں اور کون سی ایسی چیزیں ہیں جو ہمارے انٹرنیشنل اسٹوڈنٹ جو پاکستان سے آ رہے ہیں ان کو دی جاتی ہیں ایز این کوئی ہیلپ آؤٹ اینڈ ناٹ ان اکیڈمک ناٹ ان فائنینشیل پوائنٹ آف ویو بٹ ان ادر, ان کے ڈاکومنٹس, ان کی لائک ویزا ایکسپائری کے بعد کیا ہوتا ہے, کیا سلسلہ ہے, کیا ہیلپ آؤٹ پاکستان کونسلیٹ آفس کر رہا ہے, پلس آفٹر دیئر ڈگری when they are graduated what are the help that they are getting from the community. And since you are representing, you are the leader of this community Montreal میں, تو آپ کے طرف سے اور کونسلیٹ آفس کی طرف سے کیا ان کو ہیلپ آؤٹ دی جا رہی ہیں؟ یہ میرا پہلا سوال تھا. میں پوائنٹ ایک ایک کر کے پوچھ سکتا ہوں تاکہ اس کا جواب بھی ملتا رہے. اکٹھے پوچھ لوں. صحیح سر. میرا سر دوسرا سوال یہ ہے کہ ہم اسٹوڈنٹ آرگنائزیشنس, چونکہ PSA کنکوریا از اے ریوائوڈ ایسوسیشن, اٹ ہیز بین ریوائوڈ آفٹر 2014 میں شٹ ڈاؤن ہوئی تھی. اس کے بعد میں نے اور میری ٹیم نے اس کو ریوائیو کروایا ہے. تو سر جب اسٹوڈنٹ آرگنائزیشنس کوئی پروگرام کرانا چاہتے ہیں اور پاکستان کو ریپرزینٹ کرنا چاہتے ہیں, جس سے مجھ سے پہلے جو ایک سر آئے تھے انہوں نے سوال کیا تھا کہ آپ نے اس طرح کی محفل رکھی پاکستان کو ریپرزینٹ کرنے کے لیے, سو وائی وی آر ناٹ arranging, why we are not doing a program to represent Pakistan to the community. اور میرا کمیونٹی سے مراد مونٹریال کی کمیونٹی ہے, not within پاکستان. ہمیں پاکستان کو دوسروں کو ریپرزینٹ کروانا ہے, دوسروں کو دکھانا ہے پاکستان کیا ہے. پاکستان is a rising nation, not to Pakistanis but to Canadians, but to Montrealers, but to who is not Pakistani. کیونکہ کافی چیزیں اس میں ایسی ہم دیکھتے ہیں جو ہمیں پتہ ہوتی ہیں. تو ہم پاکستانیوں کو پاکستان کے بارے میں بتانے کے بجائے اگر ہم کمیونٹی کو بتائیں, اس لیے میں نے کنکورڈیا میں پی ایس اے شروع کی تاکہ میں کنکورڈیا کی کمیونٹی کو بتا سکوں کہ پاکستان کیا ہے, پاکستان کو ریپرزینٹ کر سکوں. اور میں یہی سمجھتا ہوں کہ جب ہم لوگ وہ کریں گے دین اونلی وی کین پیپل ول اسٹارٹ چینجنگ دیئر مائنڈس فرام, جیسے سر نے بتایا تھا وی آر نیشن آف ٹیررزم, یا جو بھی انٹرنیشنل میڈیا میں بتایا جاتا ہے, وہ تبھی چینج ہوگا وین وی اسٹارٹ ٹیلنگ دیم ہو وی آر انسٹیڈ آف ٹیلنگ آور اون سیلف ہو وی آر. اور سر میرا آخری سوال, سوری میں کیونکہ سوالات بہت ہیں, اسٹوڈنٹ ہوں, کرنے کی عادت ہوتی ہے, تو آخری سوال سر, if we plan to organize something, if we plan to do something, can we get help from consulate office? Because I remember in 2014 sir, I represented Pakistan in Oriental Festival, جدھر تمام اولڈ پورٹ میں ہوتا ہے اور تمام دنیا کی کنٹریز ریپرزینٹ ہوتے ہیں. I was the one with the help of one cultural center. I was representing Pakistan for 4 days to 12 hours, and I didn't got a lot of help from community. And یہ میری شکایت سمجھیں, یا میرا ایک ریکویسٹ ہے that I represented Pakistan at Oriental Festival, and there was very less people, elder people from the community with me over there to help me. There were none. So if we plan to do something, can we get help from the consulate office or no? Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much for your آپ کے بہت اچھے کوشچنس تھے. تو اس میں 2-3 کوشچنس آپ نے کیے تھے, چلیں کسی میں آرڈر میں آپ کو کہہ دیتا ہوں کہ آپ نے پوچھا کہ کانسلیٹ کی طرف سے کوئی ہیلپ وغیرہ آپ کو مل سکتی ہے کہ نہیں. یس ڈیفینیٹلی. اس کے علاوہ اس سے پہلے جب میں نے پچھلے سال یہاں پہ چارج سنبھالا تو میں نے پوچھا تھا کہ ہمارے میگل میں کنکورڈیا میں کتنے اسٹوڈنٹس اور کتنے ایسوسیشن وغیرہ ہیں. تو صرف میگل اس ٹائم سامنے تھی, شاید اس ٹائم کنکورڈیا کی پی ایس اے ریوائو نہیں ہوئی تھی. تو میگل کے لیے ہم نے کچھ فنکشن آرگنائز ہم نے کیے ہیں اور ہم ان کو سپورٹ بھی کرتے ہیں. اس کے علاوہ کمیونٹی فنکشنز میں بھی ہم ڈیفینیٹلی سپورٹ کرتے ہیں. اور پروگرامس کا آپ نے ذکر کیا کہ زیادہ ہونے چاہیے, ڈیفینیٹلی زیادہ ہونے چاہیے. اس میں ایک تو چند دسمبر میں 3 اور 4 تاریخ کو ایک کافی بڑا ٹریڈ شو اور کلچرل ایونٹ بھی ہو رہا ہے. PCBC پاکستان کینیڈا بزنس چیمبر کے نام سے ایک آرگنائزیشن ہے جو پچھلے سال بنی ہے, وہ اس کو کر رہے ہیں. آپ سب لوگوں کو اس میں دعوت بھی ہے کہ آپ لوگ سب اس میں ضرور تشریف بھی لائیں. وہ ایک کافی بڑا میجر کمیونٹی ایونٹ ہوگا کراؤن پلازا میں. اس کی ایڈورٹیزمنٹس وغیرہ جا چکی ہوئی ہیں, تو آپ اس میں فیشن شو بھی ہوگا اور اس میں پاکستان سے کچھ ریناؤنڈ سنگرز ہیں وہ بھی اس میں آئیں گے. ہو سکتا ہے شاید فلائرز میرے خیال میں آپ اپنی ٹیبلس پر دیکھ بھی رہے ہوں گے. اس کے علاوہ ہم 14 اگست کو بھی فنکشن کرتے ہیں, تو اینی ون از کین اسٹیپ ان دا کانسلیٹ. فلیگ ریزنگ سیرمنی ہوتی ہے 23 مارچ کو بھی ہم کرتے ہیں. اس کے علاوہ ہم نے میگل یونیورسٹی میں ایک مارچ میں ہم نے ایک ٹاک بھی رکھی تھی جس میں ہائی کمشنر صاحب بھی آئے تھے. تو اس طرح کے ہم فنکشن چھوٹے کرتے رہتے ہیں. اس کے علاوہ ایک کانسلیٹ میں ایک علیحدہ سے مارچ میں ہی 23 مارچ کے حوالے سے ایک فنکشن بھی کیا تھا. تو اگر اس کے علاوہ کوئی ایسی اگر آپ کے ذہن میں کوئی ایسی چیزیں ہیں آپ کرنا چاہتے ہیں تو ہمیں ضرور بتائیے گا. ابھی ڈاکٹر صاحب سے بھی میں یہ بھی بات کر رہا تھا کہ ہم اس کے علاوہ کسی اور کوئی ایسا ٹاپک ہو جو آپ کے ذہن میں ہو تو ہم اس کو ڈیفینیٹلی اس کو سپورٹ کر سکتے ہیں. آپ نے پھر ایک کیا تھا کہ ویزا کی ایکسپائری اور اس کی سپورٹ کے سلسلے میں یہ ایشو ڈیفینیٹلی ہمارے سامنے آیا ہے کہ ابھی ہائی کمشنر آف کینیڈا تھے, وہ ابھی آئے تھے پچھلے مہینے ادھر پہلی دفعہ ہمارے انوائٹ کرنے میں پہلی دفعہ ہائی کمشنر آف کینیڈا جو اسلام آباد میں ہے وہ تشریف لائے تھے. اور انہوں نے ہم ان کو بلانے کا مقصد یہ بھی تھا کہ ہم ان کو بتا سکیں کہ ہم یہاں پہ کیا کام کر رہے ہیں, کیونکہ اس سے پہلے چونکہ ہماری ریلیٹیولی تھوڑی چھوٹی کمیونٹی ہے ایز کمپیئر ٹو ٹورانٹو یا وینکوور یا البرٹا میں, تو وہ اس طرف فوکس نہیں رہا کبھی بھی. لیکن ہم نے چونکہ تھوڑا سا اس کو ریوائو کیا ہے مونٹریال میں ایکٹیویٹیز کو, تو ان کا فوکس بھی تھوڑا سا اس کی طرف ہے. تو وہ جب آئے تو انہوں نے بتایا تھا تقریباً 4000 پاکستانی اسٹوڈنٹس ہیں وہ ہر سال ویزا دیا جاتا ہے یا اس ٹائم موجود ہیں کینیڈا میں. لیکن ابھی ایک میں گل کے ایک فنکشن میں گیا تھا تو وہاں پر انہوں نے بتایا کہ تقریباً 175 اسٹوڈنٹس ہیں جن کو اس دفعہ میگل میں ایڈمیشن ملا ہے ماسٹرز میں اور بیچلرز میں. اور یہ سن کے بڑی ایک افسوس بھی ہوا کہ ہارڈلی اس میں سے کوئی تقریباً 15 لوگ ہیں جو کہ میگل میں پہنچ سکے, باقیوں کو ویزا بھی نہیں ہوا. تو یہ ایشوز ہیں. اگر ہم اسٹوڈنٹس کی تو چلیں کہ ٹریول ہسٹری بھی نہیں ہوتی, لیکن وہ لوگ جن کی ٹریول ہسٹری بھی ہوتی ہے ان کے بھی تقریباً ہم نے جب تھوڑا سا ڈیٹا اکٹھا کیا, پچھلے کچھ ٹرینڈ دیکھنا شروع کیا تو پتہ لگا ایون بزنس ویزا مور دین 90% لوگوں کو نہیں ملتا. تو یہ ایشوز ہیں اور ہم اس کے لیے کنٹینیوسلی ان کے ساتھ رابطے میں ہیں, ان کو کنونس کرنے کی کوشش کرتے ہیں کہ اگر کوئی لیبل ہمارے اوپر رد لگ چکا ہے تو اس کو ہم کوشش کرتے ہیں کہ اپنے امیج کو یہاں پہ درست کیا جا سکے. اور اس کو درست کرنے میں ہمیں آپ لوگوں کا بھی بہت زیادہ تعاون ہم چاہتے ہیں کہ اس طرح یہاں کے لوکل پالیٹیشینس کو ان کو انوالو کریں, کوئی فنکشنز آپ ارینج کریں اور خود بھی پالیٹکس میں بھی حصہ لیں, تاکہ کیونکہ آپ لوگوں نے تو یہیں پر ہی رہنا ہے, ہم نے تو شاید چلے رہنا ہے لیکن آپ لوگوں نے یہیں رہنا ہے. یہاں پالیٹکس میں آئیں آپ ایک اور یونائٹڈ رہیں ہمیشہ. یونٹی ہوگی. ہمارا تقریباً 4 لاکھ پاکستانی پورے کینیڈا میں ہیں اور ایک سائزیبل ایک کمیونٹی ہے یہاں پہ, لیکن جب ہم دیکھتے ہیں یہاں پہ تو ہارڈلی ہمیں کوئی پالیٹیشینز کیوبیک میں ہارڈلی 1-2 پالیٹیشینز ہمیں یہاں پہ نظر آتے ہیں. ٹورنٹو میں پھر بھی 2-3 آٹوا میں ہیں, لیکن یہاں پہ بہت کم ہے. تو آپ لوگوں سے یہی گزارش ہے کہ آپ لوگ پالیٹکس میں حصہ لیں, اپنے بچوں کو آگے لے کے. جب ہم نے انویٹیشنز بھی بھجوائی تو ہم نے اس پروگرام میں کہا تھا کہ یہاں کے بچوں کو پاکستان کے بارے میں پتہ لگ سکے, ان کو لے کے آئیں کہ ان کو پتہ لگے پاکستان کی ہسٹری کیا ہے, ان کو دکھائیں, ان کو آگے لے کے آئیں. ہم تو فرسٹ جنریشن, لیکن جو سیکنڈ جنریشن ہے یہاں پہ پیدا ہوئے ہیں ان کو آگے لے کے آئیں تاکہ وہ اس میں کر سکیں. گریجویشن کے بعد آپ کو جاب یہاں پہ کیا ملے گی نہیں ملے گی یہ آپ کو یہاں کے سسٹم میں رہ کے یہاں پہ دیکھنا پڑے گا. یہاں پہ کئی فورمز ایسے ہیں جہاں سے آپ دیکھ سکتے ہیں. جس ابھی چند دنوں میں ایک فورم ہے جو کہ جس میں وہ سب کو بلا رہے ہیں, اس کو انوائٹ بھی کر رہے ہیں کہ اگر آپ گریجویٹ ہیں اور آپ یو لوکنگ فار اے جاب پلیز جوائن اس. تو آپ ایسے فورمز کو ضرور جوائن کریں, ان کی سبسکرپشن لیں اور باقی میئر آفس ہے ان سے بھی آپ کو بہت زیادہ ہیلپ.
Thank you. Because of the time constraint, we'll only take 2 more questions. If someone from the ladies would like to ask a question, please.
جیسا کہ آپ لوگ جانتے ہیں کہ ہم کاروان ادب چلاتے ہیں اور اپنی اردو کو اس کی ترویج اور ترقی کے لیے کام کر رہے ہیں اور جو سارا ہم کو اپنے طور پہ کرنا پڑتا ہے. تو میرا بھی یہی سوال ہے کہ کیا کانسلیٹ اس میں ہماری اردو کی ترقی اور ترویج کے لیے کیا آپ ہماری اس میں کچھ حل کر سکتے ہیں؟
بہت شکریہ. یہ بڑا ہی ایک اہم سوال ہے کیونکہ سپریم کورٹ کے ایک ڈیسیژن بھی کر دیا ہوا ہے کہ پاکستان کی اس ٹائم 2 لینگویجز ہیں پاکستان کی, ایک اردو اور ایک انگلش ہے. اور سپریم کورٹ نے ڈیسیژن کیا ہوا ہے کہ اردو کو ہی ہمارے ایز اے نیشنل لینگویج کو تصور کیا جائے اور اسی کو پروموٹ کیا جائے. لیکن ابھی اس کو پراپر طریقے سے اس کو صحیح طریقے سے امپلیمنٹ نہیں کیا گیا. لیکن یہاں پہ میں آپ کے کئی فنکشنز میں آیا بھی ہوں اور بڑا اچھا ایک اردو لینگویج کو آپ نے اس کو پرزرو کر رہی ہے, اس کو پروموٹ بھی کر رہی ہے. تو ڈیفینیٹلی اگر آپ کے ذہن میں کوئی اگر ایسا پروگرام کو فنکشن ہے جو آپ سمجھتے ہیں کہ ایک تو ہے چل ایک فنکشن ہوتا ہے, ایک ہوتا ہے کہ اگر آپ اس کو لانگ ٹرم بیسس پہ آپ اس کو چلانا چاہتے ہیں تو وہ آپ کو ایسا ہے تو آپ ضرور بتائیے گا. اور ویسے بھی شاید لوگوں کو یہاں پہ پتہ بھی ہوگا کہ یہاں پر ایک اردو کا پروگرام بھی پڑھایا جاتا ہے میگل یونیورسٹی میں. تو اگر جو آپ کے بچے یا خود اگر کوئی اس کو جوائن کرنے میں انٹرسٹڈ ہے تو وہ اس کو ضرور میگل یونیورسٹی میں یہاں پہ اردو چیئر ہے جو کہ پچھلے کئی سالوں سے میرے خیال میں 15 سالوں سے چل رہی ہے میگل یونیورسٹی. تو جو اس کو جوائن کرنا چاہتے ہیں وہ اس کو ضرور جوائن کیجیے اور ہماری طرف سے جو کچھ ہو سکتا ہے آپ ضرور ڈسکس کیجیے.
جی پلیز.
I thank you very much. My name is Imran Akram, and my question is from Professor Moin Saab. Pakistan is located in a region which is full of opportunities, and it also entails a lot of challenges. Some of the greatest challenges she inherited since its inception. With regard to sustainable peace and security in the region, what in your view is the greatest impediment? And do you see any relevance of the dichotomies of the policies in some of the regional neighbors of Pakistan? Your comments, please.
Well, you know, developments happen all the time, and we have to find a way of dealing with individuals in our life, with associations and companies, and when we are talking about national politics or international relations, we are dealing with others. But it's all about being respectful, being reasonable, always trying to show that you have integrity and honesty, and you have good intentions, and you gain the confidence of even your worst enemies. So I think it's all about learning the art of how to deal with other people. And the best thing that I found in this statement that you made was that you referred to Pakistan as the sheep. That's great. Maybe it's come from
One, I would request, first of all, the ladies to please proceed towards the refreshment. Once they are done, then we can move, the gents can also go there. But it's